service. I'm Pastor Paula. I'm the pastor here, and so there's a few points of interest today to kind of focus on. First of all, your mission team has returned. So we're asking for a lot of grace, just FYI. So our service today is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be giving an amazing sermon. Rather, there's going to be 5 or 6 of us that are going to be getting up and talking about our experience building a ramp on the Spirit Lake Nation reservation and what we're bringing back. So it's going to be a little bit different, and yet I have really high hopes. So there you go. I just wanted to do a little explanation of our call to worship. It's the video I took, not this last week, but the week before, when I was at the Native American course of study in Columbus, Ohio. And the man in it who is singing and then giving the explanation of this native song is Reverend Fred Shaw, and he's the dean of the school that I'm going to. And so with that, I'm going to ask Cedar to pull it up. We were in the Key of Ashes there, and you could hear the waterfall in the background, along with all the rest of the folks that were there in the docks. So again, that was Pastor Fred Shaw explaining his native song. I'm going to ask you now to stand as you're able and join with me in our opening prayer. All right, so who knows what a missionary is? Anybody know what a missionary? Anybody want to give a stab? A mission, and missionaries go on missions, right? So they're people that go out to help other people and to bring the light of God and Jesus to different places to help all people that need our help and want to get to know us and to learn about us. So, I, late last night, came across this little puzzle. Oopsies. This puzzle, I wonder if you can help me figure out how to get these buttons, let's see, okay, these buttons through this piece of paper without ripping the paper or untying the button. Got any idea how that, yeah? I knew that somebody was just gonna like do this. Well, okay, that works. Okay. You just gotta force it in there, right?
No, push it down.
Push it down, okay. All right. Just gently, okay. The other way to do it would be to pull this through here. And the only reason that I know about this, because I couldn't figure out myself, is that Cedar came over and asked me what I was doing. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is going to be the children's time. And she said, oh, I can figure that out for you. And she did. So there it is. She figured it out how to undo it like that.
Oh, you wanted it undone?
This whole thing undone.
I said, wish you wanted it undone.
You know what? I know you did, and it would have come undone if I had let you complete the whole thing, but I didn't because the point of the story is that sometimes we need the help of other people to take a look at things and to help us figure out our problems, and it's all good. Yeah? We all need each other to help us out sometimes, right? Oh, I know. Or, I don't know what's happening myself. We undid the puzzle. So, you guys want to okay, you know what? Here, you can have a whole puzzle. You can put it back together again. How's that? Good luck. Okay. All right. Let's have a little prayer, okay? Oh, God, you are here with us in this place. You are showing us the way. You are lighting our path, and we love you so much. Amen. All right. Back to your seat you go. You can take that. You go ahead and take that with you. You can take it with you.
Good morning. Good morning. So as many of you know, we were on a mission trip this past week. You know, the ones that went here wearing these shirts or sweatshirts with a little insignia on it. And so we went to Spirit Lake Ministry, which is near Devil's Lake, North Dakota. It is 6.5 hours from here. Depending on how long of a lunch break you take, it could be 7.5 hours, which it ended up being. And so we were the guests of Mike and Libby Flowers, who run this ministry. And the ministry, you could compare it to Camp House. It was a Lutheran church camp, and now Mike and Libby have bought it and turned it into a ministry center, complete with, they have a church there, and they do a lot of things with the native village in the Spirit Lake Indian Reservation. And so we were working on a mission project. Most of the mission projects are from May until August. So we were kind of out of the loop of normal. Fun fact, the first day was 23 degrees when we started working. The last day was 73 degrees. A constant wind. It's always windy there. And so the projects that get worked on there are decided by the Native Council. And so they have a priority list of projects that need to be done on the reservation. So it's a very poor area. And two of the main projects are wheelchair ramps for people that have diabetes and new roads for people that have leaking problems in their homes. And so the project project we worked on was for an elders in their village are people 55 years and older. And our project was to build a wheelchair ramp for a fellow named Big Al. And they called him Big Al because they figured he was at least 300 pounds. And he wasn't home at the time. He'd been in the hospital, and then he was in a nursing home now recuperating, and he hopes to be home soon. And our project was to remove the old deck off his house, to build a new deck, to redo some of the skirting on his house. It was a trailer house, and then to build a wheelchair ramp for him. And so that's what we did. That's what we did.
Is it this one? Okay. Well, I was going to talk a little bit about the Native people of Spirit Lake. And as Al said, we were at the Spirit Lake Ministry Center with Mike and Libby Flowers. Mike is a licensed local pastor like our Paula is. And they do so much there. I was so impressed with them. They have services, they have youth group, they have Bible study, and they host all of us people that come for mission. And I think there's a saying about the Peace Corps that it's the hardest job you'll ever love, and this would be similar. It was a hard job. It was very cold. I didn't think my hands would ever warm up again, but they have, because it was so windy there. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the Native people there. We actually looked up some facts this morning. They have about 500,000 square miles of land, and there are 4 different communities in this, 4 different Native communities in this huge area. And there are about 7,000 members of the tribe, and it's all Dakota tribe, which is a little bit different than the Chippewas that are in this area. They have 47% unemployment, a really high number. They're very poor. They don't have good transportation. There are 2 bigger places where people might get a job. One was called Sioux Industries, and they make military equipment. And I can't remember how many they hired, a couple hundred maybe. And the other is a casino. No matter what you think of casinos, they do hire 400 people, and they also have transportation for the people from all the 4 communities to the casino, because that is a huge problem. So, you know, whatever you think of casinos, they do hire a lot of people, they pay well, they have benefits. There's also a nice clinic there, and they get care through the Indian Health Service. I want to tell you just a little bit of history of this area. I believe it was in the 1930s, they had a Native boarding school. And Native boarding schools are kind of infamous for taking Indian children from their parents and trying to acclimate them to white culture, white religion. And there was a saying, and can you remember the saying, Paula? Take the native off the reservation, but I can't remember it. You remember it? Okay, Mike, anybody? Okay, anyway, it was all about taking the native culture out of the children, and it was a very sad thing. What else have I got written here? So one thing we did when we were there was we went to a cemetery that was near where the Native boarding school had been, and they had somebody from the Grand Forks University come, and in this cemetery they did a ground radar to see if there were any other bodies in there. And it turned out that there were about 130 other bodies, and they figured that they were children that had died of smallpox at the Indian boarding school because they didn't have any immunity to smallpox, and they didn't even have marked graves, and it was a really sad thing. So it seems like Native people have had a lot taken from them, and we were just trying to give back a little bit. One more thing I want to mention is that, as I said, Native people have things taken from them, and one thing that they're trying to do in North Dakota is take away their voting rights. And you might have heard about this on the news. It's a lot of Native people live, many people or families to a house. They don't have addresses. They have post office boxes. And the new rule in North Dakota was that if you didn't have an address, you couldn't vote. So they're scrambling in the next 2 weeks to get that changed, but that's a very sad thing to me. Thank you.
She said most of it. I want to talk a little bit different. I think it was the saying I had all. went through a lot of changes there because I seen how different people lived. I seen their culture. I seen so many different things and learned so many different things. Mike, the minister, told a lot of good stories. He was a good storyteller. So it was fun to listen to him. His wife, Libby, did all the cooking. And they were just a close family, and they made us feel comfortable. I enjoyed it very much, and I would do it again. Thank you.
some of you will remember that I was standing up here in February last year talking about my previous mission trip. And after that, about, I don't know, maybe half a dozen people came up to me afterwards and said, can we do that? Can we have a mission trip? In fact, I think maybe even some was right during the talk. So, filled with the Spirit, I said, okay, I'll help have a mission trip up, or I'll help at least get it started. Now that's a big step for me because I'm not the guy that goes out there as a leader. That's not my thing. If I look back in my personal history, like in my employment history, those times when I was a manager and leader, they didn't turn out nearly as well as when I was just a big individual contributor. But nonetheless, I stepped up and said, let's do that. So we had a bunch of meetings. We had, the first meeting we had actually, I think 8 people in attendance and 2 other people that told me that they wanted to be there but couldn't be. And it kind of built from there. You've seen, you'll see 5 of us from the trip here talking today, but I know there's like 14 or 15 more of you out there that have talked to me and said, hey, we want to do that. So I hope we can keep this going. So I was really nervous as we went through this, and we had these monthly meetings, and it was like, what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? How do we want to serve? And it wasn't really starting to gel yet, but finally somebody said, well, you just make a decision for us. Tell us where we should go, what we should do. And I didn't feel comfortable with that, but I talked to a lot of people and decided that we should just target something. So based on what I knew, I picked the fall time period because I thought more people might be able to make it, and that we would be able to have a really good team. And things being as what they were, I was nervous about that, and then we were having a lot of people that couldn't come, that wanted to come, and I was nervous about that, and I was keeping thinking back, it's my leadership skills that are going to blow this. But all along, I just kept hoping that we'd be able to pull it off. As time went on, we got enough people. We had to pull in a couple of youth from the Twin Cities area, and they stepped up and they did a great job. And then going into the actual, what is our project going to be? Everybody kept asking, what's our project going to be? What are we going to be doing? And I didn't know, and I kept communicating with Mike and Libby, and they didn't know because the tribal council had decided what the project was going to be. So I was nervous about that. And then finally, the Monday before we went out there, I got a call from Mike as we were traveling to Ohio. And he says, well, you're going to build a wheelchair ramp. I said, okay, I hope we can do that. and I sent that note out to people, and I got kind of the same response. Okay, I hope we can do that. So, in any case, I started watching the weather, and it snowed out there. It snowed like 6 inches out there. And then it snowed again out there. It snowed another 6 inches, so I was worried about that. So you can see that there's a lot of worry going on here. So, the time kept going on, and everything kept rolling, and we got out there, and the weather was, well, at least most of the snow was gone. There was snow in the ditches when we were going out there, but most of the snow was gone. So we didn't have to shovel snow before we built the ramp. All along, it's like, okay, just one thing after another keeps happening and keeps being resolved. And I had to think the whole time that I was going through all this personal angst, God was just laughing in the background, saying, you don't know. And then we got out to the site the first morning, and the gate was locked. We couldn't get in. So now I'm worried about that. Are we ever going to finish? Do we have enough people? And we went back and kind of hung around and had lunch, came back out to the site. Not only did we get on the site, finish, do everything we needed to, but we finished a half a day early. So, again, I think God was just laughing at us. And now, where do we go from here? So, I'm still nervous about being a leader, but if you guys want to go on another mission, anybody want to go on another mission? Yeah. All right, so we're gonna start planning next week. Because I have to take a few long days of rest. That's all I have to say.
So, here I am. Oh my goodness. I was thinking about, what scripture I could use to pull this message together. And I was thinking, maybe, many hands, one body. But I kept coming back to the passage that we had last week, which was from the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. And it just kept sticking with me the whole time that we were out there. So here we go again. It's about light. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. So I know that this may come as a bit of a shock to you. You've heard it be said by others so far, but our mission team was not made up of professional handicap ramp builders at all. So we had two themes this week. The first was flexibility, flexibility, flexibility. And our second was, where did we see God? So where did I see God this last week? Well, I'm going to use the weather we experienced this past week as a metaphor for one of the ways I experienced God. As we made our way to Spirit Lake Ministries near Devil's Lake, North Dakota, it became colder, it became blustery, and eventually we were riding through snow squalls. It was comfy in the car. That was great, but not very pleasant outside. And then when we got to the ministry, we were shown to our lavish sleeping quarters, which were cold and not exactly 5-star accommodations. And as a matter of fact, due to the extreme early winter conditions, they had to winterize the bathhouse, and it was unusable. You can go wherever you want in your mind with that, but that's how it was. So being the troopers we were, we got up Monday morning, had a hearty breakfast, and learned, that's when we learned the motto of flexibility, flexibility, flexibility. And we drove to our work site, and as Mike told us, we discovered that we were locked out. So back to the ministry center we went. We were being really flexible. Eventually, later that day, we were able to gain access to Big Al's home, and we got our assignment, which was to deconstruct the curtain stairs and deck, and then to build a ramp. Not just any ramp, but a multi-switchback ramp to accommodate, as Al said, a 6.5-foot, 300-pound man. It was cold. It was windy. We hadn't slept well in our lavish bunkhouse. Our bathroom accommodations were non-existent, and we didn't know what we were doing. So wait a second, I said in my head, and Mike was talking about how he was nervous and angsty. Well, the buck stops here, so I dibs being the most anxious and angsty of them all. So I'm in my head saying, wait a second, where's the blueprints? Where's the color-coded spreadsheet with all of our assignments with bullet-pointed instructions on how we're going to do this? There was none. And there may have been a discouraging word or two or three being uttered amongst us all. And then I started having really dark thoughts. Why did think that this was a good idea in the first place. I knew that God was leading us in this mission experience, but how could I have read this so very wrong? It was a complete disaster. We needed somebody to tell us exactly what to do. Monday night was a little bit better sleeping. Somebody had figured out that we could take some of the spare mattresses in our bunkhouse and pile them on our bunk, and it made all the difference in the world. It was very comfy. And we did have an electric heater, one of those little electric heaters. So we were much more comfortable Monday night. So we woke up Tuesday, and it was still cold, and it was really, really, really windy. But the temperature wasn't quite as bad as it had been on Monday. So we got started, and we got into a sort of awkward rhythm, and there was still consternation happening, and even so, we made progress, and the weather, it mellowed a bit. Then Wednesday dawned beautiful. It was a beautiful day. We were really making progress. The ramp was coming together. It was an amazingly beautiful sight to behold. And now, this is the point that I really experienced God. We had two 13-year-old teenage boys with us. And I heard this conversation happening between the two of them. And here's how it went. Boy number 1 to boy number 2. Grab a screwdriver and get to work. Boy number 2. But I'm not any good at this. Boy number 1. I don't care. Do it anyway. When I heard that exchange, I had a V8. I can't believe I could have had a V8 head thump moment. And then I heard God saying to me, maybe in the voice of, Lynn Anderson, who sang, I beg your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden. Quit your belly aching, grab a screwdriver, and get going. We don't have all day here. God sent us to the Spirit Lake Nation not to be the most perfect ramp builders ever created. God sent us there to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And also to build a ramp for Big Al. We started out like that weather. We were raw, we were cold, we didn't feel very capable. We were kind of miserable. And yet as the week went on, the weather improved, and so did our confidence. And so did our spirits. The ramp started taking shape. As the sun shined and the temps rose, so did our sense of teamwork. By Thursday, the temps rose into the 70s. Oh, it was the most glorious day. The sun was brilliant. We were practically skipping up and down that ramp as it came to completion. It was so sturdy. It was really quite impressive, if I do say so myself. We were hugging each other. We were high-fiving. Al Ringer was leading us in song all day long. It was beautiful. And I realized that God had this plan for us all along, and that this mission experience it was a process. And I needed to get out of the way and let God lead. I also saw God in all the cards that you guys wrote for us. I was so touched by every single one of them. What we did is we took several every morning and we read them out loud, and we used those words of encouragement that you had sent along with us as our morning devotions. And I want to share one with you, and this one kind of sums up the whole thoughts behind all the cards that you had sent us. Not only was there words of encouragement, but there was a lovely picture here too. So here's what it said. Best wishes. Good luck. Keep warm. Have fun. Be the ripple of change. Smile. Laugh often. Find joy. that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what we did. Amen. Please pray with me. Holy One, we know that you see those whom the world does not see, that you notice those whom we might pass by, that you have mercy on all your children. Sometimes we're overwhelmed with gratitude for your seeing, noticing, healing grace. Yet at other times your decision to always be the healer demands something of us or from us. And for that, we might not always be thankful. At least not at first. Nevertheless, you heal us anyway. We pray for that healing, your life-giving power. We pray for all those whom violence has tried to silence, for those who feel completely immobilized by fear or grief. Hear their cries, see them, notice them, have mercy on them, heal them. We pray for those who feel silenced by the word, by the powers of this world, in particular for refugees continuing to pour out of their countries. They must be terrified, oh God, tired and empty. See them, notice them, have mercy on them, heal them. We pray for those here and elsewhere who feel silenced by illness, disability, chronic pain, for those who struggle to make it 10 minutes at a time, for those who are lost in deep holes of mental illness, for those fighting the demons of addiction, for those scared of their own shadow. See them, notice them, have mercy on them, heal them. We pray for our church that we might be committed to learn how to be a community that makes space for all voices, that takes the time to stop and to notice, that uses the power we have for your good and not our own, for your will and not our agendas, for your justice and not simply what works for us. See us, notice us, have mercy on us, and heal us. For we pray all these things, as well as those groans of our spirit in the name of your Son, who taught us to pray, saying the prayer. And on the screen, we're going to be seeing the Lord's Prayer in the Lakota language. But go ahead and pray in your own language or immerse yourself in the Lakota language. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And now, as we have been given so much, it's time for us to give back. The ushers will wait on us for this morning's tithes and offerings. God, we thank you for your abundant blessings. As we offer these gifts in thanksgiving and praise, we pray that they will be a blessing to others. Through our gifts, may the word of your goodness spread to the ends of the earth, that all people may know your love and make a home for you in their hearts. Amen. Our offering song this morning is Praise God from All Blessings Flow. Please be seated. And now, I challenge you to go out. Get outside your comfort area, your comfort zone. Grab that power screwdriver and just do it anyway, whether you're good at it or not. Amen. A couple announcements. First of all, we were going to start our walk club on tomorrow on Monday, but as it turns out, I have an appointment I have to go to in Duluth. So it will actually start a week from tomorrow. So if you're planning to bring your tannings and show up here, go ahead and walk. Don't let that stop you, but I just won't be able to be with you. Secondly, I think I had put in the newsletter that I would be hosting a dinner this Wednesday here at church to talk about my pilgrimage this summer to England and on the Wesley pilgrimage. And so I know it's kind of short notice, but I'm still throwing it out there. Anybody who wants to come at 5 o'clock, I have a couple pans of lasagna that I'm going to throw in the oven. And please come, and I will, I'll show you my vacation pictures, which I'm sure you'll be thrilled for. But talk a little bit about my experience, and then also talk a little bit about the experience of this past week. So 5 o'clock Wednesday here is before choir, so all you choir folks, please come. And I'll have dinner ready and waiting for you all. Are there any other announcements that people would like to?
I just want to say how proud I am of our church and the mission group.
And you know that there were 8 of us that went, but there were so many more behind us supporting us. Those cards, I cannot tell you enough how much that meant to us. Casey.
Next Sunday, we have the annual pumpkin run at 12:30. We'll have hot dogs and chips, and if every family will get a pumpkin, if you have more, everyone will get their own pumpkin. And we'll have games, and it's going to be really fun, and it's free, so let everybody know that it's something to do for the community.
Pumpkin carving here next Sunday,
Yeah.
12:30. Be here, bring your friends, bring strangers off the street. It'll be fun. Jody? Didn't even have to raise your hand.
One more week for your nut orders, people. One more week. The yellow papers are at the back of the sanctuary. There's also some downstairs. And remember, this is going to support the anniversary this next summer, the 50th anniversary.
Wonderful. Thank you for all your heart. I see her here all the time. This is not just this is hard work, and I appreciate every moment that you put into it. Thank you, Jody. All right, anything else? Oh, Lois.
Could we mention Pat Kane's funeral on Saturday?
Yes. Yeah, a couple things. So Pat Kane's funeral will be here Saturday at 11 o'clock. If you would like to help with the reception, let Lois know. Men, women, young, old, everybody's welcome to pitch in. Yeah, thank you, Lois. I was going to do that. So my mind. Anything else? Okay, if not, I just want to say a word about our sending song. The song I Had a Hammer just, for some odd reason, was in my head all week. I don't know why, but anyway, I thought it would just be a really fun sending song. So I just have to give Al Anderson kudos to yeah, okay, I am, but anyway. So I thought, well, this will be easy. Let's do this. Well, it's not all that easy. So musicians scrambled, and anyway, let's stand as we're able to sing If I Had a Hammer.
So Bill and I are going to start off by playing what is commonly known as a vamp. And it's what musicians do when they don't really know what they're doing. It's like you can scare a herd of elk, and they generally circle around until one of them decides to lead. And that's what we're doing here. We're circling around. So start singing around the time we start singing. And the words should be up there.